Want to speak real French from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at FrenchPod101.com.
Hey guys, it's Pierre from France. Welcome back for more videos on French learning. Today's lesson will be about 10 casual questions that French people can ask you, and you should know how to answer those questions. That's important because usually when you meet French people, there are always some questions that they will ask you in a certain way that you don't learn in textbook. So, without further ado, let's get started with something quite easy. Like, what's your name? What's your name? Usually you learn at school that you say, comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? But usually French people don't say that, and they say, tu t'appelles comment? Or, comment tu t'appelles? So this is for what's your name? Tu t'appelles comment? Comment tu t'appelles? What's your name? And the answer is like what you learn at school, what you learn in textbook. Je m'appelle Pierre. Je m'appelle Pierre. So here you can see that we don't do the inversion and that we can put comment like here or here. If you didn't watch the video on casual French, you should watch it. This is explained there. So this one is quite easy, like it doesn't really count. Let's move on to the next one. This one doesn't really count because it's really easy, but this one is also quite easy. How are you? Like, how do you do? You know, it's like, comment vas-tu? Usually you learn that in textbook. Comment vas-tu? Comment vas-tu? But usually French people don't say that. They say, ça va? With like a question tone. Ça va? Or even, ça va bien? Ça va bien? Ça va bien? Ça va? So here, as you can see, there is this kind of question tone. Or you can say, comment ça va? Comment ça va? Or even, tu vas bien? Like question, tu vas bien? And for all those three questions, you can answer like, ça va, or ça va bien, or even, je vais bien. So here, like bien, you can just say ça va. It's not like something that you have to say, but here you have to say bien. You cannot just say je vais. So for example, you can hear that in French. Ça va? Ça va. So first person, ça va? The answer is ça va. Ça va? Ça va. So here it's like, how do you do? How do you do? But it's quite common in French to hear ça va? Ça va. So here, if you hear that, don't be surprised and just answer like ça va or ça va bien. Again, this one is quite easy. This is not like something quite personal. But then let's move on to more personal questions. So here is one of the main questions that you can hear. It's like, where are you from? Tu viens d'où? Tu viens d'où? Or, even more accurate, tu viens de quelle ville? Like, which city? Or, which country? Quel pays? Tu viens de quel pays? Tu viens de quelle ville? So, which city? Tu viens de quelle ville? Which country? Tu viens de quel pays? Or, like more generic, tu viens d'où? Tu viens d'où? Where are you from? Où is like where. So here you can answer with je viens. Like the typical answer for either of those questions is like je viens. And then you can add like the city or the country. But here in French, it's a bit tricky. As you may probably know, nouns in French have a gender, like feminine or masculine. It's the same for countries and cities. Cities, it's always feminine. Like Paris, London, Paris, Londres, it's always feminine. So, but countries, you have to remember if it's masculine, feminine or not. Like sometimes it's even plural, like United States, États-Unis. So this is kind of tricky and you need to learn your country. So please check for your country. But if you're one of those countries, you have the example here, like États-Unis, it's plural. So with plural, For this answer, you have to say des. Je viens des États-Unis. Je viens des États-Unis. This is like the de here, and this is like the plural form. If the word is feminine, so for every cities, it's quite easy, but also for some country like France or Belgium, you have to say de. Je viens de Londres. Je viens de France. Je viens de Belgique. Je viens d'Allemagne. Like Germany, it's feminine as well, and you have to say de. But here, because Germany starts with an A in French, Allemagne, you have to do the contraction. So, je viens d'Allemagne. So here, like many countries are feminine, most of the countries are feminine in French. But there are some that are masculine. This is the case for Japan. And when the word is masculine, you have to say du, which is the contraction of de and le. Le is the masculine word in French. So here it's like de le, so it becomes du Japon. Je viens du Japon. Like if you come from Morocco, you have to say je viens du Maroc, because Morocco is masculine. So this is what you can answer. Specific questions, more general questions. And always the same answer, and please, you have to check for your country. If you're from England, je viens d'Angleterre, same as Germany. Angleterre is something masculine. And Angleterre is something feminine. So here, je viens d'Angleterre with the contraction of the D. So let's move on to the next one. Now, it's still about locations, but now it's where you live. Où est-ce que tu habites? Où est-ce que tu habites? This is quite common, and maybe you've learned that on textbook. I think I would probably use one of those two sentences if I have to ask a question to someone. Où est-ce que tu habites? Où est-ce que tu habites? Or, t'habites où? T'habites où? Or even tu habites où? Here, as you can see, there is this unusual contraction. When you learn French, you don't learn this kind of contraction, because in the video I made, Casual French, I'm explaining the rule for that, but I'm gonna briefly say it again. So here, tu, like tu habites, in a casual way, you can just do a contraction if there is a vowel sound here. So tu habites, like vowel, habite, so you can say t'habites où? T'habites où? Où est-ce que tu habites? T'habites où? So one of those two questions, you can hear that, and if you hear one of these, you have like to answer with one of those questions. So here again, there is gender for like countries and cities. So cities is still like always feminine, but you have to remember. So here, this is important to remember that you have a, o, o. So here with plural, so États-Unis, which is plural, you have to say o, silent x, o. If it's feminine, you have to say a. So like London, or any other city, you have to say j'habite à Londres. J'habite à Londres. So here, this is kind of easy. Don't forget the accent on the A. It's not the verb avoir, like to have. It's like a preposition, so not a verb. Be careful with that. To distinguish with the verb, you add the accent. And here, au Japon, it's like for all masculine words. Please note that this is the same pronunciation for O and O. But here, since there is a vowel here, you have to do the liaison. Again, there is a video on liaison that is important, and you can check if you don't know the rules. So here, aux États-Unis. So I'm going to say some other examples. So if you're from England and you live in England, you say j'habite en Angleterre. So here, it's another case. This is feminine, and for cities, it's always a. But for en, when you have to use en, it's when you have a country which is feminine. For example, j'habite en France. J'habite en Allemagne. I live in France, or I live in Germany. So be careful. This is only for city. And with countries, it's en. So, j'habite en France. J'habite en France. So, only for city, the a. Here it's like feminine, but for country. So be careful, because for city it's always a, but for country it's en when it's feminine. So be careful with that, it's really important. En France. But maybe you don't want to be as accurate, or maybe you're living in France now and you're living in the same city than a friend, and this friend wants to know where you live because he wants to visit you. So you can say, like if you live close to the station, for example, you can say j'habite près de la gare. J'habite près de la gare, like close to the station, close to the station. Or if you live close to your university, because you are like an exchange student or like an international student, you can say j'habite près de l'université. Like university, it's like the same as in English, except that here it's the E with an accent. J'habite près de l'université, like close to the university. So this is quite common question, and this is some sort of answer. Here more general here, and here more specific, like where in the city are you living. So now we've seen like some classic questions. I'm gonna explain some other questions which are kind of important. Those two are quite easy, like how old are you? Quel âge as-tu? Usually you learn that. Quel âge as-tu? How old are you? But usually we don't say that in French. We say t'as quel âge? Or tu as quel âge? Here again, casual French. So contraction between the tu and the a, because here this is a vowel. Like this is the same than here. Contraction. T'as quel âge? T'as quel âge? This is quite common question. So here the answer is the same that in the polite way. J'ai 20 ans. J'ai 20 ans. If you are 20, like you say, j'ai 20 ans. Here, another question which can be useful if you're living in France and you have French friends and some relationships with French people, you may have a phone number that you want to share with people, or people want you to share your phone number. So here, c'est quoi ton numéro? Means like, what is your phone number? C'est quoi ton numéro? This is kind of casual. With friends, you will learn that quite a lot. And the answer is, c'est le 06 08 86 55 77, for example. But remember that in French, when you say numbers, phone numbers, you always say like 2 by 2. So here, it's like 06 08 86 55 77. So I put the dots here that usually you don't write when you write your number, but it's like a way to explain that you just take them 2 by 2. Okay? So, c'est quoi ton numéro? C'est le 06 08 etc. etc. So this is kind of common. And maybe you've noticed I forgot this one. This one is kind of special. If you speak like as a non-native French speaker, you can sometimes like you will not be understood, and the person will ask, "Oh, what did you say?" Something like that, and he would say in French, "Comment?" or "Quoi?" Quoi is a bit more. It's like more. It's ruder than comment. Comment means like, "Oh, I didn't understand. I want you to repeat." Though this is a kind of specific question. This is like a casual question, and the answer to this question is just repeat or rephrase your sentence. So, comment, quoi? And please note that it's not because someone, like some French people, ask you to repeat, like with the comment or quoi, that it means that you're like not good at French. it's like even for French people, sometimes we ask this. So don't be worried about that. Comment? So you just repeat. So for example, I said, je viens des États-Unis. I said this sentence quite fast, so you didn't understand, and you want me to repeat, so you say comment? Or if you want to be clearer, you can just say, can you repeat please? So in French, est-ce que tu peux répéter? Est-ce que tu peux répéter? Est-ce que tu peux répéter? So this is equivalent. This is a question equivalent to comment or quoi. So if you hear that, don't be surprised and just try to repeat or rephrase your sentence. So that's all for that. Let's move on to some more specific questions and different formulations. So here, like concerning your birthday, this is a question that you can be asked. So here, like this is the first way to say it, like t'es né quand? T'es né quand? So here again, contraction between tu and e, because there is a vowel, a casual contraction. Né, like born, and quand, like when. You can also add the quand here, like quand t'es né, but it's more it's more common to say t'es né quand. It means like where are you born? When are you born? So t'es né quand? This is quite a classic question. Or if they want specific, like your birthday in particular, they would maybe say, they might say, c'est quand ton anniversaire? C'est quand ton anniversaire? C'est quand ton anniversaire? Like when is your birthday? C'est quand ton anniversaire? Again, casual way. Maybe you've learned in your textbooks quand est-ce qu'est ton anniversaire? Quand est-ce qu'est ton anniversaire? But here it's like the more casual way to say that. And the answer for that is, like for any questions, you can answer any sentences. So you can say, je suis né le 10 janvier 1990. Je suis né le 10 janvier 1990. I forgot to put the le here, which is really important. Je suis né le 10 janvier 1990. Or you can say, just like, take this c'est again and say, c'est le 10 janvier 1990. Even if they ask you, c'est quand ton anniversaire, you can still answer with, je suis né le 10 janvier 1990. Je suis né le 10 janvier 1990. Or, maybe it would be more common to say, c'est le 10 janvier 1990. So here, like some classic answers. But be careful if you hear those questions and not what you've learned in your textbooks. And the last three ones are like kind of long questions, but French people often ask those questions, so be prepared for that. So here, three ways to ask the same question. I'm not going to say it in English. First, I'm going to read them. So, ça fait combien de temps que tu apprends le français? Ça fait combien de temps que tu apprends le français? Can you understand the meaning? Here, I didn't write the translation in English because it's a good practice for you to try to translate before I'm giving you the translation. So here, the question is, okay, maybe you've found the meaning of that, but let's move on to the next one. T'apprends le français depuis combien de temps? T'apprends le français depuis combien de temps? T'apprends le français depuis combien de temps? So this one, like same meaning. Or here, t'as commencé quand à apprendre le français? T'as commencé quand à apprendre le français? I forgot the question mark just here, but like it's roughly the same meaning. This one, if you translate this one, you have to say, like it would be something like, for how long have you been learning French? For how long have you been learning French? Ça fait combien de temps que tu apprends le français? Or, you can even do the contraction here, que t'apprends le français. Like I did the contraction here, but you can also just say tu. It's like the same than here. T'as quel âge? Tu as quel âge? So here, this one, those two sentences are like exactly the same translation. Like for how long have you been learning French? Just two casual way to say it, two different casual way. And the last one is a bit different. It's like, when did you start learning French? When did you start learning French? In a casual way. T'as commencé quand à apprendre le français? So here it's like roughly the same meaning. So here the answer would be like one of those two sentences. Like for any of those questions, you can answer one of those two sentences. Ça fait 2 ans. So here you can see that there is a ça fait and the same than here. Even though you can answer for any of those questions, here you can see that it's kind of the same pattern. It's quite difficult to translate in English, but the meaning is here, like I have been learning French for 2 years, 2 ans. Ça fait 2 ans. It's like kind of short way to say that. Ça fait. Here it's like the verb faire, which is like do, to do. This is quite common in French to say ça fait, like for amounts or distance or like time. You can say ça fait. So like if you want to say the price of something, you can say ça fait 2 euros. Ça fait 2 euros. Like it costs 2 euros. But in French you can say just ça fait. Ça fait 2 euros. So here again it's like ça fait 2 ans, which is what you see here in the question. Like, for how long have you been learning French? How? Ça fait 2 ans. Ça fait combien de temps que tu apprends le français? Ça fait 2 ans. 2 ans. But if you want to do something with like when you started, you want to use the verb start in French, which is commencer. You can say j'ai commencé il y a 2 ans. So here, il y a, it's like ago. So here, 2 years ago. So in French, the ago is before the time. So here, j'ai commencé il y a 2 ans. I've started 2 years ago. Il y a 2 ans. Il y a 3 ans. Il y a 3 heures. Like 3 hours ago. But if you started French 3 hours ago, that's good. But it's not that long. So you will probably not answer that question with this. So j'ai commencé il y a 2 ans. So this is kind of common way to answer those questions. And personally, when I meet someone, like I'm always wondering when they start learning the language they learn. And so that's really common question that you will probably hear if you go to France. Here is something also related to your French learning. It's like how did you translate? How did you learn French? Okay. The next one is a bit like the previous one, but it's focusing on your French learning. But here it's not when, but it's how. Like people are sometimes curious and they want to know how you've learned French. So here is 2 questions that you can hear. It's like, t'as appris comment le français? T'as appris comment le français? T'as appris comment le français? Here again, you can see that there is this contraction. T'as appris comment le français? Tu as. So here, if I ask you guys, t'as appris comment le français? T'as appris comment le français? You can answer like, j'ai appris à l'université. Your answer is like, j'ai appris à l'université. Université, you remember, we've seen that before, it's like in English, university. University with the accent. J'ai appris à l'université. So you've learned at university French. But another question like can be asked is like, t'as appris où le français? Où? So here you can see that we can ask like with comment or où. But it's roughly the same meaning, like how and where. You can say that in French, but it's, yeah, roughly the same meaning, because comment, it's like, oh, I've learned at university, which is like, I was working at university. This is the answer for where, but it's also the answer for how, because you, like when you say j'ai appris à l'université, it underpins that you've learned with a teacher. So it was your method, kind of method. But another answer that you can ask, like maybe you are watching those videos and you're learning by yourself without using a teacher. So here, j'ai appris tout seul, like by myself or alone. J'ai appris tout seul. So this is the question, like where did you learn French? T'as appris où le français? You can say, oh, nowhere. I've just learned by myself. So you can just say, j'ai appris tout seul. So here, even if it's où, you can say, j'ai appris tout seul. It's not something really weird if you do that in French. T'as appris comment le français? Again, you can say, j'ai appris tout seul. Comment? Tout seul. So here, again, the comment would be more related to tout seul, and the où would be more related to à l'université. But if you guys don't do the disambiguation, like if you answer with the other ones, it's perfectly okay. So again, two questions related to French learning. And the last one is related to your trip in France. Like when you meet, like if you go to France and you meet some people, they might ask you, like if it's your first time in France or if you've ever been in France before, or questions like that. So the way they can ask you that is, c'est la première fois que tu viens en France? Like the polite way to say that would be, est-ce que c'est la première fois que tu viens en France? Est-ce que c'est la première fois que tu viens en France? So this is kind of polite, or also casual, but this one is more casual. C'est la première fois que tu viens en France. C'est la première fois que tu viens en France. So here, if I ask you, c'est la première fois que tu viens en France, like you are, like we are in France, you're asking, like I meet you and I ask you, c'est la première fois que tu viens en France? If it's your first time, you can say, oh yeah, it's my first time. So you just say, oui, c'est la première fois. Oui, c'est la première fois. But if it's not your first time, you can say, oh no, it's not my first time, it's like my second time. So you can say, non, c'est la deuxième fois. Première, deuxième. So non, c'est la deuxième fois. Deuxième fois. I'm going to write deuxième because maybe you want to know how to say that. Deuxième. So here you can say that. Another question, which is kind of the same meaning, but like there is a subtlety, which is because it's the opposite. It's like when they ask you, t'es déjà venu en France avant? T'es déjà venu en France avant? Like here again, contraction. Tu es, t'es. T'es déjà venu en France avant. Have you ever been to France before? Avant, before. Ever, déjà. Have you ever been to France before? Have you ever been? So, t'es déjà venu en France avant. Your answer is can be, oh, no, I've never been to France. Non, je ne suis jamais venu en France avant. Non, je ne suis jamais. The opposite of déjà is jamais. Déjà, jamais. Venu en France avant. Non, je ne suis jamais venu en France avant. Or you can answer if you've been to France before. You've been in France before, you can say, je suis déjà venu il y a 2 ans, for example. So here again, you see that il y a 2 ans, 2 years ago. Je suis déjà venu il y a 2 ans. Okay, so you've seen that French people can ask you questions in many ways. So you've seen like some classic questions. Don't forget that the contraction is really important. Then don't do the inversion. Here, tu viens, viens-tu. And here, question that French people can ask you. And sometimes you hear those questions a lot. And instead of just being like confused, it's better to be used to that and just to answer those questions, because you will know how to answer that. So now you will be confident enough to answer the questions, and that's really good for your your determination. Because if you go to France and you live in France, like as an international student or stuff like that, like I did, you will hear those questions, and if you can directly answer those questions without thinking about that, that's really good for your mind, because you say, okay, I can speak with native people and answer questions really easily. So this is kind of good for your self-confidence. So please read those sentences again and try to be confident with that. You can just read those questions out loud and make your own response, your own answers with your own birthday or your own, like when did you start learning French, or how did you learn? How did you learn French? So this was only a small amount of sentences, but I hope it would be good for you. So that's all for today. Well, if you like this video, you can click on the like button or leave a comment on the comment section down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can click on the subscribe button, and with that you will not miss our contents. And if you want some more resources on French learning, you can go on our website frenchpod101.com. You will see a lot of contents for you French learning and improve your way to speak and read French. That's all for today. It was Pierre, and see you on next video.